So the first thing we see is we're in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And you've got the tight end to the left is hipped off, which suggests historically that he's going to go backside from that position. He at least has the option to. We don't have a lot of runs that you're going to have some sort of slip or scoop block play side between the left tight end and the left tackle up to 37. So unless we think that we're going to try to capture the edge by blocking that tight end who's off the line of scrimmage on their stand-up outside linebacker defensive end, chances are that this is going to be a play that might start to the left, but it has every possibility to bend back to the right. We just look at some of the really basic stuff. Your left tackle and left guard, there's a huge split between them. Everybody else has a pretty standard split. You say, left guard, center, right guard, actually smaller. Right tackle, right guard's a little bit bigger. Tight end's really close to the backside. That tells me that the tight end on the backside is worried about not getting to his cutoff spot, reinforcing the idea that this ball is probably being handed off to the left of the quarterback. We got the split flow motion and going backwards. As we watch this play, where do you have problems? Well, it looks like a couple things. One, if we're going back, Royce is going to take a good first step. His hands are wide, so he's going to get pressed on his chest. So he's going to get stood up in the hole. You have John Runyon Jr. is going to step behind himself, and Myers is climbing quick, so we're not really taking care of the down lineman here. He climbs through fast, and the down lineman's going sideways now, so that's not a bad thing, but he does have leverage and is kind of forcing the jump cut back to the backside A gap. And then Musgrave steps underneath himself on the backside, so Zach Tom takes his footwork to work that backside C up to the linebacker where he can hold off and wait. They get a good job, and really this play works because the tight end and Zach Tom, even though they don't make the play on the linebackers, Zach gets pushed off because there's bad angles. They're basically fighting each other on the backside. There is a lane there, at least for AJ to put his head down and run through that linebacker, but they've pushed that guy 2-3 yards off the line of scrimmage. Obviously, the play side tight end went backside, and you turn around and you get a 4-yard gain. Not a great start, but not a bad start. Now we're just back to 11 personnel. Tight end's hipped off on the other side. It looks like from where I'm standing right now, I could be wrong, that Musgrave can't go across split flow here because just how he's lined up. These are things that defenses see, by the way. I'm saying this stuff, I'm pointing it out to you. Defenses see this. So this is the gap play. They're running kind of a setter or a counter play where they're going to have the tight end release inside. Royce Newman's going to come over and try to block Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden actually makes an amazing play here. But here's what's kind of nuts about this play. You see the path of A.J. Dillon. And A.J. has got a 3 technique to this side. And usually you're going to try to run this ball off of the right tackle. So Zach does a good job of stepping down. But once you take that hard angle down, it's hard to rise up and get to the second level. So you've compromised your ability to get to the second level by trying to take care of the down defender. You see the tight end is kind of gotten beat inside by Anzalone, so that there's really nowhere for AJ to go. And then, of course, Aiden kind of matrix moved Royce Newman inside. So now AJ's got to take a hop outside and try to make something out of this play. My only observation here is that just from, and I'm sure if I talk to Amon, he'd say the same thing, is the handoff is to go to the A gap here. That doesn't really make sense. It leaves him very optionless. If you handed this ball off with the intentions to go to the B gap where the 3 technique is, and you're going to move off the spot, now you can cut left or right off of that block. That seems to make a little more sense in the way that, first of all, the way that A.J. Dillon runs, and then 2, the way that the scheme's set up to be successful. So a play that, had some promise, doesn't work out. Now we're back to that 12 personnel. You've got Luke Musgrave on the left. Or I don't know if we're calling DeGuara at the tight end or it could be 21 or 12. But we got him hipped off on the right. He's off the line of scrimmage. He can go into motion, and he does. And now we're trying to run the lead play with the backside guard pulling. And we have what's different for this play than maybe some others is that you're leading with your fullback or your tight end. So let's start with 88 Musgrave over. So we're inside release. When you inside release and you actually turn your shoulders and you try to get skinny, like he's doing, you allow that defensive end to push you down and collapse the hole. What you'd like to see is him to get the second step in the ground and kind of fight through this block and then make a hard right turn and have a car accident with Anzalone if he decides to shoot the gap. But when you just go down and let the defensive end ride it down, a little bit easier to block. DeGuara does a good job of meeting the man where he's at. John Runyon Jr. is coming around to block the linebacker. And now we're just pushing the pile. Aaron Jones is pushing the pile off DeGuara. Anzalone can't quite get there, so I think we get a couple good yards here. End up coming off of Rasheed Walker's block. So as you'll see, we've run 3 plays here, and the running backs are working hard to get 4 yards. It hasn't been easy sledding. There's no gaping holes, and there are holes that get filled up fast. Got our 2 backs in the backfield. 81 is clearly going from left to right here in a split flow kind of motion. They show the dive. Interesting here that everyone's got a gap to fill. You see Aiden Hutchinson is crashing down, expecting DeGuara to block him. They immediately react. This is the option play that we've seen already. Brian Branch beats, I think that's Dobbs outside, gets to the quarterback, and then DeGuara can't quite get all the way out in time to hit the pitch man. This play is doomed from the beginning, really, when Dobbs doesn't make that crack block on Brian Branch right here. The speed of the Detroit Lions is a problem, but you could be pitching off of the corner and have DeGuara lead on Anzalone versus having to pitch off Brian Branch and having 2-on-2. You've got a 2 tight end look. Both players are hipped off. Tucker Kraft looks like, if I was guessing, would be the one that's going backside just based on how he's lined up. You see the splits are all pretty uniform here. 3-point stances. So we got the pull play, and this is one of the plays that Lee McNeil beats us through on the backside. So Josh Myers is supposed to take a step to the 3 technique and pin him. Zach Tom needs to step all the way down into the B gap and put his body in the way so McNeil can't slide through the B gap as John Runyon Jr. is going to be pulling. Tucker Kraft's going to be following him. So we just saw kind of a less traditional, let the fullback or tight end lead and the guard follows through it. The guard's going to lead on this one, and then the tight end's going to be on the backside of the guard following through on the play. Because 2 things. We have a poor footwork demonstration by Zach Tom, not stepping down and just giving him a hand. And really, Josh Myers does take a step, but you got to go somewhere with your footwork. Takes a bad angle. McNeil jumps the snap, does a good job, probably indicating that he knows the puller is pulling. He shoots the gap and ends up blowing up this play. Tucker Kraft tries to do something with it, but there's nothing happening. Now we have a tackle for loss. So that's the second tackle for loss we've seen.